Before I get off the stage, I also have a pleasure of doing two more important things. One is to introduce Nick Mcewen as our next keynote speaker. I think he needs no introduction. He is one of the fathers of SDN. He is the person who started multiple startups, of course, and he's the professor of computer science and electrical engineering at Stanford. He also co-founded Open Networking Foundation, Open Networking Lab, Open Networking Summit, and so he has been the person who has been driving this agenda all along for last more than 10 years. He has numerous awards for all his contribution that I will not go through, but the one that you may want to take a note of is he's also the SIGCOMM Lifetime Achievement Award, which is in the networking community, is one of the best awards for what you can do. So I think our industry is really, really better off because of Nick. That is how I think of it. So Nick, you want to join me? And before Nick does his keynote, I also have a pleasure of doing one more very, very important thing. So, you know, ONF has been, this community has been around now for 7 years or 8 years or so. And as you heard now, whatever we have been doing in moving into production, we are making a lot of good progress. And this has been possible because of contributions of many people, but among those many, there are few that are especially worthy of recognition for their outstanding contribution. And so this year we are introducing this Distinguished Contribution Award for very select, very important people that have made lasting contributions to this open source and open networking. And so we are going to do that. So I'll invite both Andre and Nick to join me on the stage. And obviously, we can't think of two better people to be giving this inaugural awards for this important contribution. Okay, so I'm just going to call out their names and briefly tell you about what their contribution is about. So our first is David Bainbridge. His primarily, I mean, you know, for each one of them, what you will notice is their contributions are very multifaceted. They have been lead contributor to some platforms for code. They have been lead contributor in terms of leading communities and also leading architecture. So in case of David, he has done this for ONOS, Volta, and multiple other projects for ONF. So this is David. Michelle, go ahead. Oh, Michelle, give it to them. Okay, so our next recipient this year is Saurav Das. So as you must have guessed, based on what he just talked about, he is the inventor of Trellis. And he has made, again, architecture contributions, code contributions, community leadership, and of course, he is also leading the SIBA, and so contribution across the board. Okay, Saurav? Okay, our next recipient is Brian O'Connor. So you heard a lot about ONOS and Stratum today. So again, Brian was at Stanford originally and then joined ONF, and he has been contributing to ONOS for a number of years, and then he also led the Stratum project, and as you heard, we are just open sourcing it today. So major contributions across all of this. Okay. Next one is Thomas Vachuska. So he is the chief architect for ONOS, and you might know ONOS was our first open source project, and Thomas has been a chief architect. He has been leading the TST, and we must have done, what, 20 plus releases over the last 5 years. And so he is the primary person who deserves a lot of credit for ONOS success and the fact that it is now in production. Oh, go ahead. Okay, last but not the least, Nigel Davis. So he is the person who has been working on this model for open core. and then he has applied these models for both wireless as well as the optical networks. And he is one of the person who has been with ONF before the merger of ONF and ON Lab. So his contributions have been there for many, many years in the ONF community. Okay, so again, one final round of applause for all our distinguished contributor awardees.